You're listening to the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's our live weekly chat with Missouri Western coaches and athletes. Here's your host for the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, Tommy Rezach.
Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, broadcasting live as usual from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on a February 3rd, 2025. I'm Tommy Rezach, and thanks for joining us, whether you're listening to us on the Varsity Network app, gogriffins.com/listen, and to our in-person audience. It's a happy Monday, of course, because not only is it really nice outside, we've got the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, and of course, we swept Northwest coming off of that on Saturday, so it is a happy day around here, a big sweep against the Bearcats on Saturday at the Looney Indoor Sports Complex. I got to say to the fans who are here and those who are listening to us, my hat's off to you. You guys really made that atmosphere for both games terrific. Shout out also to our senior associate AD, Ryan Menley, associate AD, Ashley Wicker, in charge of putting people in the seats and getting people to our arena. And wow, I feel like the atmosphere of the last few home games has been really solid. So hats off to everybody involved there. Got a busy week ahead, of course, as, excuse me, a lot of things going on, a lot of teams competing away from home here in this first week of February. One thing that is coming up, though, here in our city this Wednesday night, you may know it is National Signing Day for NCAA football players across, or prospective NCAA football players across the country. Missouri Western football will have a National Signing Day social and celebration this Wednesday night at 6:30, just down the road at Gino's Pizza and Pub in downtown St. Joseph. And we'll have a live radio broadcast there at 6:30 this Wednesday here on the Varsity Network app and gogriffins.com/listen, the Griffin Sports Network. We'll talk to Coach Tyler Fenwick and the football staff down there on Wednesday, so mark your calendars down for that. As for the show today, we've got a busy one. We'll have 6 head coaches in all joining us. 2 of our student athletes will be with us over the next hour. Track and field, tennis, softball, baseball, men's and women's basketball, all to talk about here today. Track and field, they were at the Pittsburgh State Invitational this past Saturday, and now they get ready for the Bearcat Invite in Maryville this Friday and Saturday. We'll hear from Cody Ingold about that. Some good results in Pittsburgh on Saturday, a couple of Griffin victories that we have to talk about there. Griffin Tennis got their season started over the weekend at Genesis Health Club in St. Joseph, taking on William Jewell Saturday, and then a very good Augustana team on Sunday. It was a sweep over Jewell on Saturday, and then a 5-2 loss to, I said it, a regional contender, perhaps the best team in the NSIC, Augustana. That's a great early season test for the Griffins. Tennis will be off this week. They'll be in Edmond, Oklahoma in a couple weeks to take on Washita Baptist, Angelo State, and St. Mary's of Texas. 3 pretty good teams. Alejandro de la Torre, our head coach, will join us in a little while to talk about that. Softball, baseball, they were both on the road, as we know. Softball, they've got a kind of a Lone Star swing to begin their season. They were in Conroe, Texas, which is near Houston. They were there over the weekend, and now they're getting ready to go to Angelo, Texas, the home of San Angelo State College, or San Angelo State University. Softball is going to play 5 games this weekend in a event going on down there. It's the George and Ola McCorkle Challenge in Angelo, Texas. So Missouri Western softball 1-4 in their opening weekend in the D2 First Pitch Invitational. We'll talk to Coach Nicole Thompson about the weekend. And, man, it's something, you play those schools in the Lone Star Conference and in those warm weather states, those southern states, those baseball, softball teams, that's always really good competition, whether they're ranked or not. And I think softball has another pretty good slate coming up this weekend, which we will talk about. Missouri Western baseball beginning year number 2 under head coach Damian Stambersky. They had a 4-game series, a pair of doubleheaders against Harding, which if you know anything about D2 baseball, Harding is one of the best in the Great American Conference, one of the best in our region. The Griffins did take a game from Harding yesterday, but ultimately lost 3 out of 4 in the series. And it's really out of the frying pan into the fire for Griffin baseball. They will stay in the natural state. They'll go to Monticello, Arkansas to play Arkansas-Monticello, the Boll Weevils. If you recall, Arkansas-Monticello played Central Missouri in a super regional in baseball last year. Well, the Griffins will take on a very good Boll Weevil baseball team this weekend. That's what's coming up for them Saturday and Sunday. Talked about it at the outset. A good week for basketball. The women had the week off until Saturday, defeating Northwest Missouri State in a great battle, 69-66. Men's basketball, they had the game against Haskell at home on Wednesday night. I know coaches don't like the word tune-up game, game, but that's by and large what it was. The Griffins beat Haskell 96-59, pretty convincing there, and then a nice 71-58 win against the Northwest men on Saturday for the first season series sweep of Northwest and men's hoops since 98-99. It had been 26 years since the Griffins had got it done, so hats off to the Griffs for pulling that off. Men's and women's basketball, we've got a swing to the Sooner State this week. A couple of road stops there. We're at Rogers State in Claremore, Oklahoma on Thursday night, and then we go to Edmond, which is greater Oklahoma City, to play Central Oklahoma on Saturday afternoon at 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. And myself and a couple of members of the Griffin Sports Insider team will be making that trip down, so you'll hear the game broadcasted live right here on the Griffin Sports Network Thursday and Saturday. I will tell you a little programming note. We will not have our usual panel at the end because we've just got a lot of people coming on the show, and so due to time constraints, to make sure we get the time needed with everybody, we won't have the panel today. But we've got 6 interview segments coming your way over the next hour. So with that, we'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll start things off as we normally do. Indoor track and field, coming off a strong performance at the Pitt State Invite on Saturday. They gear up for a 2-day event at the Hughes Feldhaus in Maryville. That is the Bearcat Invitational, coming up this Friday and Saturday. We discuss it next with Coach Cody Ingold when we return on the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffin Sports Network, back right after this. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, I'm Tommy Rezach as we lead our interview segments off with indoor track and field. The head coach, Cody Ingold, as the Griffins were in Pittsburgh, Kansas. We've been there a few times already this year for the Pittsburgh State Invitational that took place on Saturday. And senior All-American thrower Alyssa Mahoney, she goes by Bella, or at least that's how we know her, picking up a couple of victories in that event on Saturday, picking up a gold medal in shot put and weight throw, a provisional mark in the weight throw with a distance of 61 feet, 10 1/4 inches. And then Anissa Abdul-Hamid shined on the women's side with a runner-up finish in the 600-yard run, a time of 1:26.8 seconds. In all, the Griffin women tallied 8 top 10 finishes. The men had 4 runners in the top 10, led by Berhe Usman with a 5th-place finish in the 800-meter run. Here to talk about, again, Coach Ingold. And, Coach, I know you had a lot of athletes kind of competing in different events for the first time this season, a bit of a wider variety, and you noted in the recap that you felt like this team is starting to come into form with that conference meet now less than a month away.
Yeah, this was the first time we raced some people in, like, events are going to run at conference, hopefully. So
Gotcha.
That was nice. It's just we looked rough for the first few weeks, and, I don't know if that's just not doing enough over break or, it's just – it's part of the process. I also need to remind myself, I think I said this last week, that we're trying to get ready to run a well at conference, and so I get wrapped up in the meet that we're in instead of thinking big picture sometimes. So, I thought we competed really well. It was, Bella put one out there. I mean, improved on her provisional mark. That's like the 3rd farthest throw she's ever had.
Wow.
So, it's setting up well because usually, her big throws came late last year. So now she's kind of feeling. Shot put, she won, but it wasn't great. I think her best throw was she's kind of limped it out there to make sure she can make the final, and it was enough to win. So I guess when you have Kinsey breathing down her back, that makes it a little bit easier. So it was good. The energy was good. Haley Sampson threw in the quarter. She's been long jumping most of the year, and she came in as a quarter miler. But just kind of threw it in as a throwaway event, let's do something different a little bit, and she PR'd. And then, Anissa got 2nd, right? Or what place she get in?
Yeah, runner-up. Yep.
Yeah, and in the 600, and it was just kind of not a throwaway. We're kind of leaning towards maybe doing that at conference, but she hadn't done it in 3 years. And so I was like, let's just give it a shot, and she has a lot of things she can improve on to make it better. So I'm excited for what we can kind of piece together at a conference meet to make some finals and score some points. So
4 PRs on the women's side. Haley Sampson, one of them, 2 PRs for the men. And talking of Haley Sampson, she's somebody very versatile athlete, right? She was the first ever female state wrestling champion in Mid-Buchanan history, and then part of terrific state championship runs with North Platte Track and Field. With an athlete as versatile as her, I mean, how exciting is that to see her do some big things early in her career?
It's good. It's just she's so quiet, so there's not a lot.
I've interviewed her. Yeah, she is quiet.
You don't get a lot of feedback. She's awesome. Once you get to know her and you can have the conversations and get her riled up a little bit, it's fun. But it's just I don't think we utilized her as well as we should have, and that's on me. She talked about wanting the long jump, and we kind of kept avoiding it because we had a good quarter mile group, and it was finally this year I was like, if we're going to do it, let's do it. We're not going to half-ass it. And so, she's currently ranked, I think, top 10 or top 12 in the conference, and and long jump, and she's still kind of finding her way. So she's uber talented. It's fun to coach her, and it's fun because she just kind of shows up, puts her shoes on, doesn't say anything, runs and leaves. And sometimes those athletes it's okay to be that athlete. Everybody doesn't need to be bubbly and in your face and up and down. It's just you can be that person that comes in, does what you need to do, and goes out, because people see that too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, still a couple meets till we get to conference, March 1st and 2nd, and another one this week. It's a much shorter trip, but it's a longer event. You're going to the Bearcat Invitational this Friday and Saturday. What's the game plan here, Coach?
Fridays they got 5Ks and DMRs and thousands. So we're gonna try to break the DMR record on the men's side. Hopefully, if we break the record, we'll be Provo. I think we can. If everything works perfectly, we can run really, really, really well. But there's 4 people that you rely on, and it's not a quarter mile. There's a mile leg, there's 1,200 leg, there's 400 leg, there's an 800 leg. So everybody has to be on and can't miss. And last week we ran Powell on the mile to see where he's at, so we knew how good we were going to be. And it didn't work out because he wasn't in a heat that was conducive to see where he's at. So his heat went out in 209, 210. He ran 415, came back in 205. So if he's in that fast heat, does he run faster? So just kind of double back and run some of those open events that we'll run at conference. So kind of not a precursor to conference, but allow us to get that 2-day feel. So then we know when we get to conference and we run a prelim how we're going to feel on a final day. So
and they host conference, right, Northwest?
Yep. So it'll be there. So we're there this weekend, Pitt next weekend. We have our little twilight meet that we do there, and then conference. So we get a couple more cracks there. It'll be nice to get on the runways for jumpers because their runway is a little bit, it's not unique. It's just they don't have a raised runway. Wherever else we go, it's a very, very fast and poppy runway, and they don't have that. So we need to get our jumpers on there a couple more times so we're confident when we get there for conference.
No, I think I've heard you say Washburn kind of favors sprinters because of the banking. Does Northwest favor distance or anybody there?
It favors everybody. That track's so fast. Dude.
Yeah.
It's they do a really, really good job with. So jumps are a little bit, like I said, it's just you're jumping off of concrete essentially with the track on top where Washburn is a hollow surface, so it's raised up a little bit, so you have some rebound. And Pitt State jumps on a raised runway in the middle of their football field, so you get a little more pop. But Northwest, their track runs fast for everything.
Yeah.
Their track records are ridiculous for the facility, so.
Yeah.
The facility records are going to continue to get rewritten because the MIAA is the best conference in the country.
Pretty good. Yeah, Pittsburgh State and some programs like that have had Olympians competing here in recent years. Nebraska Kearney, same thing. So what time to start on Friday?
Friday, 5 p.m. Is when that starts, and then 10 a.m. on Saturday. So it's quick turnaround. We get back kind of late.
Really just a day and a half type of
thing. It's not a full 2 days. So Pitt State next week, the following week is half the meets on Friday, half the meets on Saturday. I think this is more, they're doing multis at Northwestern doing multis, and then they'll move some events to Friday just to so they can lengthen out Saturday and give more opportunities.
Gotcha.
It's an open event, but they're only accepting limited entries, so we won't even know who gets in till Wednesday, and then we'll roll from there.
Yeah, and then you'll get home on Sunday and root for Philadelphia, I'm sure.
Yeah, I told you, I'm going to see what kind of green stuff I can find in Maryville that doesn't have too much Bearcat stuff on it, and see if I can draw a little eagle on it, and cheer.
Well, I'll be praying for your safety here in the KC area.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
To Sunday. Thanks, Cody.
Yep.
And good luck to your
Thanks,
team.
Tommy.
There you go. Cody Ingold, known Chargers fan, so he's one guy not rooting for a three-peat this weekend. But good luck to the Griffins in the Bearcat Invite this weekend. We'll take a break, and we'll come back, talk Griffin tennis as Missouri Western got their season underway here at home over the weekend. The Griffins do have the coming week off, but they're gearing up for 3 matches in Edmond, Oklahoma, February 14th and 15th, so we'll touch on that a bit as well. It's the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, it's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast. I'm Tommy Rezach as we talk Griffin tennis now. The Griffins now with 2 matches under their belt here in the 2025 portion of the schedule, taking on William Jewell and Augustana in non-conference competition. Of course, Augie, a terrific regional test yesterday, which we can talk about, but things started well on Saturday, a bit delayed on Saturday there at Genesis, but the Griffins on Saturday evening completing a 7-0 sweep against William Jewell, and Coach Alejandro de la Torre to talk about it. And Coach, I know in Jewell's part they were a little bit shorthanded, didn't have enough players to fill all the matches, but in the matches that you guys played, did really well. I thought dominating in singles, a shutout win in number 1 doubles, pretty good way to start the year right there.
Yeah, like you said, they were missing players, so it's hard to compete like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to feel good about winning like that when you're already 2-0 before going into into the match. But I think it was good for doubles. We lost at number 1. We won at number 2. But I think we learned from that one a little bit, and we played better against Agustana the day after because of that. But still not good enough yet.
Yeah, still early in the year, and you had a quick turnaround. I mean, that Jewel match starts at what, like 5, 6 o'clock thereabouts on Saturday, and just after 10 a.m. Sunday morning, you take on Augustana, a team that, like us, they won 18 matches a year ago. They're preseason favorites in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference, and Augie, they played like we thought they could. They won the match 5-2 overall. Cristina Granero-Boge, though, a win in number 1 singles, and Celia Castaño-Malnero, a win in number 5 singles, but Augie sweeping their way through doubles. I think you told Griffin Sports Insider yesterday, Cole Weiberg there shooting that match, that you felt like despite the loss that's a good test. That's still a good growing and learning opportunity to play a team like that this early.
Yeah, I told Cole that I kind of hope that we lose by more, because
really?
Yeah, because I think it's a good lose at the beginning of the year against a team that that is going to go to NCAA every year. They're going to win the conference, and I think some people finally realize some things that they need to that they've been kind of working on, but not enough. And some other people realize how well they can play. Whether they won or lost. Like Joanna, she lost at number 2, but she lost in the third set, and I think the girl she played was ranked number 3 in the region. Someone told me, I'm not sure, but it was a good match for her. I think for someone younger to start competing that close against some of the best players in the region is good. I hope she realized the things that worked for her out of the things that won her the first set, and once she stopped doing that, that's how she lost the rest of the match. So it was good, and then Cristina had an amazing match at number 1. She was on the second set, and on the third court they had already played 5 sets. So it was almost 4 hours match. It was ridiculous, and it was just really good because she played that girl before and beat her easy and a year ago, and that girl just figured out her things on her game to get that much better. So it was a really good example for the girls to watch. That it doesn't take just you become this amazing player. It's just changing little things that can make you that much more competitive.
Yeah, I know that was a match that lasted well into the hours of Sunday afternoon, getting done at about 4 o'clock or so. And the win in singles for Western yesterday, Cristina and Celia both went to extra sets. So really pretty competitive across the board. Well, a week to catch your breath this weekend, and then going to Edmond, Oklahoma. That's where we competed in the ITA regionals this past fall. But these ones, they do count toward the regular season. You'll play Washita Baptist, 16th ranked Angelo State, and St. Mary's of Texas. What do you know about these programs, and what do you hope to see just in terms of preparation?
Well, Wichita, I think, very similar to us. I think their number 1 player is very good, and it will be a good match with Cristina, and then it's pretty even after. I think Cristina and her are 2 of the best players in the region, and then all the other matches can go either way, and then with Angelo and St. Mary's, it's going to be good to play St. Mary's again, because that's where I was coaching before.
That's right, yeah, okay.
And I've been trying to play them since I got here,
right.
And I finally got it, and we'll see how good we do with them.
Yeah, they're the Rattlers, aren't they?
They're Rattlers.
Yeah. What town in Texas is that again?
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Okay, yeah. I was going to say our women's basketball team, they played them a couple years ago in San Antonio in a Thanksgiving-type invitational sort of thing. So now Griffin Tennis will play Alejandro de la Torre's former team. That'll be not this week, but next, February 14th and 15th in Edmond, Oklahoma on the campus of UCO. I know they have a great facility for tennis down there, and should be decent weather going 5 hours to our south, or at least we hope so. So that's the Griffins after splitting the weekend, a shutout win against William Jewell, and then a 5-2 loss to NSIC favorite and regional contender Augustana. So a pretty good test there to get things going. Well, Coach, good luck to your team going forward, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you.
There you go. Alejandro de la Torre joining us in his 4th year as our head coach at Missouri Western, taking on again in 2 weeks Washita Baptist, Angelo State, and St. Mary's of Texas. We'll take a break, and speaking of Texas, that's where Missouri Western softball just came from. They played 5 games in Conroe, Texas, and they're getting ready to go right back to the Lone Star State. They go to Angelo this weekend to play 5 more games this weekend. So we'll talk softball's opening weekend with Coach Nicole Thompson next on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, I'm Tommy Rezach, talking Griffin softball now with our first-year head coach, Nicole Thompson, who did get her first win as the head coach of the Griffins this past Friday against Midwestern State. The Griffins playing 5 total games in Conroe, Texas, in the D2 First Pitch Invitational. And, Coach, I know anytime you take on teams from the Lone Star Conference or just the South in general, it's going to be stiff competition. And things got started on Friday with a 1-run loss to St. Edwards. Texas A&M International got our day started Saturday, a 4-3 loss. 5-4 to Texas Women's, and then you take on the best in the land, defending national champs, number 1 ranked UT Tyler, and UT won it 8-0 in 6 innings. So I know in terms of win-loss, not what you wanted out of the weekend, but just in general, what are your big takeaways from those 5 games?
Yeah, clearly not the results that we wanted from down there, but I think there was positives. We did not clearly play our best defensively, and that was a big part of it. But for us not to do that and lose 3 games by 1 run, that was a positive. That we were in games, we were competing. I think that was my big thing with the girls is like we wanted to get down here and we wanted to compete, and their fight was unmatched with that, and so. You know, first tournament of the year, getting out some miscues, getting out some nerves. You know, we have some different people in different places. We have a different lineup hitting-wise. I thought we had some chances to win those games, losing by 1. And those are the things that we want to go through right now in the first of the season. I'd rather them learn this here now and learn how to get through some adversity and when our backs are against the wall of how can we close games, how can we come up with those big hits when we need to. And we fell short a little bit. Sure. But now we get back to practice. You know, even the last game, I was really proud of them. I told them that score was not really a representation of how we played. We held them to 2 hits until that 6th inning, and that was big. I thought Hartley played a really good game on the mound with them. We kept them off. Defensively, we played good, and then that game we just honestly didn't hit. They had a really good pitcher. They kept us off. We didn't make the adjustments when we needed to, but the fight was there. I thought our lock-in defensively, our focus was there, and then, you know, that 6th inning kind of just got away from us, but definitely all learning challenges from us. Yeah,
it's a UT Tyler squad that won 58 games the year prior. So, I mean, that is a big positive. 3 of the 4 losses are by a single run, and then the other one to number 1 and undefeated UT Tyler. No moral victories, but some encouraging things. Speaking of encouragement, I mean, you had 2 people really popping off at the plate. Sienna Reed, who came over from Regis to join you, batting .429 on the weekend. And, of course, Mackenzie Devine, longtime Griffin, batting .357. And on the base paths, 8 of 9 on stolen bases. So some good things there.
Yep. Yeah, Sienna came out, kind of picked up where she left off last year. Had some big-time RBI situations for us. She's in the middle of the lineup for us for that reason. And so it's good to see her kind of get started on the year. And then Mackenzie, she's in played in our 3-hole, and same thing. You know, we have those 2 guys in some crucial situations with runners on, and that's what we want to be able to do. And with our stolen bases, that's our game plan. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to use our speed. And you know, it's easy to be able to cause havoc, but then that was a big thing is like once we get those runners on and once we, you know, be able to move them over and use their speeds, we've got to be able to have people be able to hit them in. And so it was encouraging to see that at the end of at the weekend of having some of those big bats come through, but we still left a couple runners on that I would have liked to have some innings back of, you know, be really putting a team down when we could have, or you know, go up in a deeper part of the inning to put the pressure back on someone in that bottom of the 7th. But those are all learning. You know, we're first time out of, you know, seeing live pitching other than our own pitchers. Yeah. And we faced some good things, and so that was my point of this weekend. I wanted us to be able to be challenged both defensively, offensively, pitching. And then how do we adjust and how do we get back to work this practice and improve on those things?
In the circle, you've got a couple of veterans, Harley Pruding in her 3rd year, Sid Rader, a 5th-year senior all-conference, and they pitched the majority of the time. But you're able to get Ashlyn Finardi, a 2nd-year Griffin, in there, and then Mackenzie Garr, who I don't think has pitched live since her St. Joe Central days, at least got a couple innings in there. So, and again, you know, like any first tournament, it's going to be a mixed bag, right? A staff that combines for 21 strikeouts, but also 26 walks. Just, I know Steph oversees the pitching. Just what were were the conversations like in terms of pitching over the
Yep,
weekend?
yep. You know, same thing of our pitchers now getting out of bullpens and then actually in live situations with umpires behind the plate. That Lone Star they're a good hitting conference, and they're at the top of Division II for a reason. And so we knew that was going to challenge our pitching staff, both on the hitting side, and then, you know, how can we still hit the plate and be successful and not, you know, give them freebies. And so I was honestly really proud of the pitching staff. They kept us in games for most of the weekend. We, you know, need to be able to play behind them a little bit better and, you know, have that defense be able to flip over to our offense. I thought Harley was able to really keep some batters off balance. You know, and just, you know, small things with her of like maybe, you know, when we get back out of, you know, where our walks are at, situational, you know, is it against their 3-hole or their 9-hole of kind of learning those little, you know, things. But she did great coming out of the season. I thought, like I said, she kept batters off balance. She mixed her changeup well. She got us out of some big innings. Sid, you know, coming back to after kind of that week of the injury part, I think her getting her endurance and her legs back with underneath her. And, you know, she's always going to be challenged against the best teams. She's our ace, and she deserves that, and so she's going to go up against some of the bigger hitters in some big time, you know, situations. But I wouldn't trust anyone else, and she's built for that. And so I have no problem. I think she's going to turn around this weekend, and she knows what she needs to work on, and kind of getting a weekend underneath her belt with a new pitching coach, you know, pitch calling, and, you know, kind of getting back from the break of getting her endurance ready. And then Finardi, it was good to see her back from an injury too. And then, Gar, I really wanted to be able to put her in a spot where she could get some confidence and be comfortable. And we kept on getting these, you know, one-score games and tight situations, and we just didn't think that was the time to put her in where we had a Harley and a Sid that's been in those situations before. And I want to be able to put us, you know, Gar in a spot where she can have her strengths flourish. And so when we put her in against UT Tyler, I thought it was a good spot for her to get that confidence, to be able to get on that mound, you know, break through those nerves a little bit of not throwing in a live game in 2 years. And I thought she did a really good job. I think what makes her special is she's fearless. Yeah. She's kind of, you know, like the rest of our pitching staff. I think she gets that a little bit from her track, you know, out. She gets on that mound, and she's kind of like, you know, I'm not going to let anything faze me, and I'm going to go from there. And very similar to how Sid pitches as well, of like, you know, I'm not going to let an error bother me. I'm not going to let one hit bother me, but I'm going to step on this mound confidence, fearless, and I think that should carry over to our defense.
Yeah, what a way to make your collegiate pitching debut. Mackenzie Gar, already an All-American in track, and then getting some innings against number 1 UT Tyler. Well, going right back to the Lone Star State, we're going to Angelo, Texas now for the tournament's name is the George and Ola McCorkle Challenge in Angelo, Texas. Very similar schedule, 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and there's a rematch already. We're going to see Texas A&M International twice more. They're a team that walked off against us on Saturday, so chance to get them back. And then you get a nationally ranked team in Angelo State. They're the host. They're number 11 in the country, and then a regional game on Sunday against Washita Baptist. So with that in mind, you know, similar schedule, similar distance that we're going. So what are you hoping to see this weekend?
Yeah, you know, like we talked about, we're going to get back into practice. We have the off day today. Get back tomorrow and Wednesday before we fly back out, and making those adjustments. And I think that's part of the game of softball is, you know, we know we're things that we need to get better at now. And I think having this first weekend under our belt will help us. But definitely we owe International, you know, we let that game go, and, you know, we definitely gave them that game. And so to be able to come back and hopefully give them a rematch, those 2 games, and, you know, hopefully that score can now be flipped on our favor this weekend. And we know clearly what scouting report, and that's another thing for us. If now we're comfortable with their pitchers, at least playing them. And Angelo State's going to be tough. I don't think they gave up a run the whole weekend down there in Texas. So, but it was nice to be able to see them too.
There were a ton of teams down there.
Yep. So we got to be able to scout them, and Steph and I, you know, took some mental notes. So, you know, we're familiar with them. They have a returning lineup all from last year. So that will be a good challenge for us. And then clearly, we want to be healthy and ready to go for that 5th game, because that is a regional game for us. And so we want to be able to clearly get some more at-bats under our system and being able to go offensively. But we want to be able to come out on top this weekend and make those adjustments.
We weren't even the only MIAA team there. Like, I know Pitt was there. Who else was down there over the weekend?
Pitt was there. Rogers State.
Oh, okay.
We had a Southeast Oklahoma was there, and then some RMAC schools.
Okay, yeah, so some folks you're familiar with in
Yeah.
your coaching past. But Missouri Western back on the road for the George and Ola McCorkle Challenge. It gets started Friday morning, 11 a.m. against Texas A&M International. Take on Angelo State Friday afternoon, and then A&M and Angelo on Saturday at 11 and 1:15, and then it ends on Sunday the 9th with an 11 a.m. contest against Washita Baptist, a Great American Conference opponent right there. So 5 more games for Griffin softball as they look to stack this non-conference resume before they go to Topeka for the Washburn tournament and see some NSIC flavor there. A ton of regional competition waiting us later in February. But Coach Thompson, congrats on your first win, and good luck, and go get some more this weekend.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much,
All right,
Tommy.
there you go. Nicole Thompson joining us here on the GSI Podcast. I see Damian Stambersky is here. Is Frank here, Damian? Okay, good. We'll talk baseball next with St. Joe native Frank Gall, who had a great weekend at the plate for Missouri Western baseball against Harding. We'll talk about that weekend and what's to come for baseball this week on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. We'll be back right after this. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, it's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast. We're glad you're with us on a Monday as we talk Missouri Western baseball now with the head coach, Damian Stambersky. And joining us for the first time, he's a 5'11 junior outfielder from right here in St. Joseph, a Bishop LeBlond graduate and a transfer of Metropolitan Community College, and a St. Joseph Mustang over the last couple of years. Frank Gall up here with us. Frank and Coach, welcome. I know that was a late night for you, but we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having us.
All right, well, let's dive into it. We had a 4-game series in Searcy, Arkansas, the home of the Harding Bison, which if you follow baseball at this level, you know Harding is a regional contender, a Great American Conference contender, so a good taste of some talent right out of the gate. The Griffins do win Game 1 of the doubleheader yesterday, holding on for an 11-9 win, but otherwise it was Harding getting the sweep on Saturday and then winning one more on Sunday. These games are also pushed back a day due to some weather that they were dealing with in that area, but Coach Stambo, just starting with you, I mean, kind of like softball, right? It's not what you wanted in terms of win-loss total, but some encouraging things, some things to work on. Just thoughts on the first series of the year.
Yeah, the most encouraging part was our defense. You know, Coach Moritz and Coach Brown have just done an absolute phenomenal job preparing an outdoor sport inside. And, I mean, I think we were really electric in the outfield. Frank made an unbelievable play. He'll tell you that the track was terrible. It was it was as soft as it could be. It wasn't dangerous, but it was super wet, and our guys still played really fast and made some really great plays. And we gloved every ball on a dirt field that, you know, we haven't been on a dirt field since this time last year at SWASU. So they just did a great job, and those guys were prepared to make plays. So it was really encouraging there.
Frank, for you on the weekend offensively, 5 hits, 5 runs driven in. Rogelio Baruman had a terrific weekend, 3 extra base hits. And Jackson Bryant went yard, I believe that was on Saturday. Just offensively for you, Frank, you know, up and down as baseball tends to be, but just first time out of the gate, how good were you feeling?
Continue to grow throughout the year and get some quality reps in this week and get ready for next week. But yeah, I feel like I definitely have plenty of room to grow, and I think we all do as a team. Just stick to my routine and process, and good things will happen.
Yeah. Frank Gall was named the Metropolitan Community College Athlete of the Year, an all-region performer for their baseball team, the Wolves, before joining us here in St. Joseph. But again, he's from St. Joe, played for the Mustangs, and now plays for the Griffins as well. Coach, on the pitching side of things, I thought Jason Shorb had a couple good middle relief outings there for you. Lou Levy picks up the win in the game on Sunday. He struck out 3 in middle relief. 25 strikeouts to 21 walks, a team ERA of 7.14. Just thoughts on the arms so far?
Yeah, that won't win. We've got to do better than that. So we need to have a sit down with the pitching coach and the catching coordinator, and by the way, that's me, and figure out how to make that better. So we will. You know, they're all, you want to call it nervous, butterflies, jittery, whatever, but the pitcher handles the ball, the catchers handle the ball on every single play. So no offense to Frank or Gundy in the middle infield or whatever, but those guys have a lot of time where the ball doesn't touch them. The pitchers are on point every time or they're not. So we were a little exposed on how we talk about process, routine, breath, visualization, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, the guys that were successful, you could see them going through a process. There were some other guys that were so sped up, it looked like they were his first time in a college baseball game. So glad we got that out of the way, and hopefully we won't see that again, but we'll continue to work on that.
Yeah. Frank, just over to you. I had the chance to talk to you briefly over the summer when you were playing for the Mustangs, and, of course, we know the success they've been having. But for you, after finishing up your JUCO career, just talk me through the process to continue your career not only at an NCAA institution but right here in your hometown.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's pretty much a dream come true. I've always loved Missouri Western. I've always wanted to play, and I'm very thankful to get the opportunity. And yeah, I mean, I just feel really lucky to be with a great coaching staff and great teammates, and I think we can definitely turn it up this year. We just first weekend out, so I mean, it's good that we can build off of that and continue to grow.
Yeah, we've seen some Griffins here and there that have had Mustangs careers, like a Brady Holden comes to mind. Working with Johnny in the summer, I mean, what has that done for you the last couple of years?
Oh, it helps a lot. I mean, it does help playing good competition in the summer, and I mean, yeah, we have a lot of fun on the Mustangs, and it definitely helps you grow confidence when you're on a really good baseball team. So
absolutely, that's Frank Gall along with head coach Damian Stambersky, and Stambo out of the frying pan into the fire in terms of competition this week, taking on Arkansas Monticello on the road. Now you look at their record last year and you'd think, well, they didn't go super far, right? They had a good year. Well, no, they won 35 games and went to a super regional and played Central Missouri, and as we know, the Mules been on to the D2 World Series last year, and right now Monticello ranked 4th in the region and a team that's receiving 25 votes in the first coaches poll of the year. So we know they're solid, and I think you said a couple weeks ago when you were up here that you have some familiarity with their staff down there.
Yeah, their head coach and me, we got the opportunity to compete against each other in multiple regional contests, so we're familiar with them, and he's a very good coach. Same thing with Coach McGahey, who just played at Harding. Got about a 20-year relationship with that guy, so gotcha. He is a humble warrior. So both those guys carry just phenomenal programs, and they're talented, and we're going to have to compete, and that's why we want them, because we want to be in line with those guys. So we're on par with those. Frank will definitely tell you that we were not outgunned, outmatched. We just got to play a better brand of baseball, and it's not perfect. We don't have to be perfect. We are very talented, athletic, and we have a good system in place. So looking forward to compete against those guys because they're right on par with what we want to do.
Doubleheader on Saturday, 3 and 5 o'clock. Is that 9 innings, 7 innings again?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then another 9-inning game on February 9th at 1 o'clock. So a 3-game series this time in Monticello, Arkansas. The Griffins go back to the natural state to play some more Great American Conference competition. I mean, and in a regional win against Harding, I mean, I know you always want them all, but to get one I think is a big deal. And, man, a series win down there would be huge, and that's what the Griffins shoot for this Saturday and Sunday. That's Frank Gall with Damian Stambersky. Gentlemen, thank you. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Tommy.
There you go. You, appreciate you coming. All right. Yeah, they had a long day of travel yesterday. They were playing – their second game started sometime after 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon down there in Searcy, so appreciate them making the time. We'll take a break. We got to talk hoops yet, Griff Nation, so stay with us. We'll talk women's basketball first with the head coach Ashton Feldhaus and junior Cassie Caron. Good enough to join us today after a big performance, a big win against Northwest on Saturday, and an Oklahoma road swing coming up this week. We discuss it next on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Oh, goodness. We're back on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. We're having some fun on a Monday, and for good reason. Missouri Western men's and women's basketball, a sweep against Northwest at home on Saturday, and it's the women's basketball that got the party started in front of roughly 1,500 fans. A 69-66 win against the Bearcats Saturday. Make it 7 straight against our opponents from Maryville. Coach Ashton Feldhaus, along with 6-foot junior, a third-year Griffin from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, Cassandra Caron, joining us. Ladies, thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Coach, starting with you, man, what a roller coaster of a game. 10 lead changes, 8 ties, and props to them. They played hard to the bitter end, and we've seen this movie before where we're just in a one possession, sometimes a 1-point battle there at the tail end, and we found a way. And it's a season series sweep. Just thoughts on another gritty effort by your team?
Yeah, I think Northwest is way better than their record shows, and they've been the same as us. They've been in a bunch of close games, started the season well, and they played well. They shot it well, everybody did, and we adjusted defensively, and they still made plays, which is kind of what you're going to face here in these next month and a half. So, no, I thought they played well, and I thought we did some things well, too, that we had kind of keyed in on. So, yeah, not unusual for us to be in a close game. Again, we didn't shoot it great. Like, I'm still waiting for us to, break out in that shooting because we're getting all the right looks. Like, I don't have any problem with any of that. It's just knocking them down. So, no, our kids compete, and they're tough, and I don't really think we ever got to a point where it was like panic mode. We just kind of kept with it. So, I was pleased, obviously. And it was fun. You mentioned it already, but the atmosphere was fun. I know our kids really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, of course. We know their fans travel well, too. And, it was a pretty partisan crowd, depending on what side you were on. But the Griffins able to pull it out behind a career-best 22 points by Marie Sepp. She was knocking down major shots all day long, 7 rebounds. But Caron, a season-high 15 points, 7 rebounds. That is a career high against MIAA competition. And, Cassie, I know this year's been a journey for you, kind of learning to play a bit of a new position, playing that 5 role. I looked this up, though, Cassie. We're 5-0 in league play when you score in double digits. So
thank you, Tommy.
No pressure or anything, but just for you learning to play this new position and starting to reap some rewards of this hard work. I mean, just describe this what this year has been like for you.
Like you said, it's been a journey, but for sure I wouldn't be able to do what I do without my teammates. Can't do everything. I can't dribble the ball down the floor, pass it in, and score all by myself. So I think it's just been a learning experience and learning my strengths and what I'm good at, along with reading teammates and reading what they're good at and meshing well.
Yeah. Well, you've got 4 people that you've been teammates with a long time, like Jaden Schomp in her 5th year here. So some folks you've known very, very well, but also obviously 5 new players. It's just, what's that relationship been like with a roster that's kind of half rebuilt?
Right. It definitely took a lot of meshing and getting to know each other. Yeah. We obviously joke about our international versus domestic divide, and so it's been a little interesting meshing those cultures together.
Yeah.
But when it comes to playing, I feel like you can't really tell, and I feel like we've done a good job of bringing all of our different styles of play together.
Yeah, and I know this off week came at a great time, Coach. How do you feel like your players made the most of getting some time away, some time to reset, but also time to hit it hard and get ready for that game on Saturday?
No, I think it was great for us. I've said this before. I love those bye weeks because it's just preparation. So we took the time, and I think she's a perfect example. We took days on okay, this is what you're doing in a game, this is what it looks like, these are the good possessions, these are the not so good possessions, so showing them on film and then getting them back to individuals, which we haven't really had the time to do, and kind of working on it, right? Mm-hmm. So you only have so much time in a day, and we could use a lot more, but they're all great. I mentioned this to them after the game, they just work, so they're coming to us every day, Coach, can we do an individual this time, can we watch film here, and we never tell them no, right? So we do it on top of what we're already doing as a team, and everything we went over on film for Cassie, she just absolutely executed. You saw it. She executed, dominated, and it's those confidence boosts. No, you can do this. I know it's not your position, but you have to use your skill set in our offense, and then we try to exploit people because she's not a true 5, right? Right. She's quicker. She can take people off the dribble and being coachable, which is key for us, and I thought she was. So she's a perfect example, and that's what we did all week long with every single one of them. So starting to kind of feel it, you're getting that March feeling a little bit, but we still are continuing to get better, which is kind of fun.
Plus 19 on the stat sheet on Saturday was Caron, but you had some non-basketball activities this past Wednesday. You went to the St. Joe Animal Shelter to volunteer. Cassie, I guess starting with you, you're an animal person. You have a pet rabbit, don't you? Yeah. So I guess what'd you all do down there, and how fun was that?
I think I just really enjoyed being giving back to the community. They give so much to us, and so it was a chance to kind of get our faces out there and really bond with these people. We got to interact with the dogs a little bit. We got to give them peanut butter on frisbees, and
nice.
had a couple tears.
Yeah, it was good because we were gonna do community service, and I was like, let's do animals. Let's get away from people. Not that we don't like people, but I was like, we'll go the animal route. And then we got there, and between Cassie and Jaden, we had more tears in the hour and a half we were there. I was like, okay, maybe this wasn't a good idea. But no, we had a blast, and they were great. I do think we actually helped them out some because it's all volunteer work. So we did undid dog food and cat food and packaged, and it was just, we had a blast, and it's getting outside the gym, which I think is fun. So and our group was a good time anyway. So
did anyone adopt a new furry friend yet? Or?
Actually, the week before that, Meredith she had been down there, and she actually did. So in our team, Jaden has 2 dogs. Mer just got her puppy, and then we've got obviously the rabbit scenario. So.
What's the rabbit's name?
Tito.
Yep. Tito. That's fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, back getting to looking big picture now. The rest of the year, we got 8 games to go, and we're on the road a lot. 5 of the last 8 on the road, but you think about where we are as we're in February. We're tied for 3rd in the league. We've won 4 of 6. Coach Feldhaus, you said it in postgame. You feel like you're trending upward, but at the same time, we've been playing for a long time. People are probably starting to feel the wear and tear and the grind. You know it. You had a playing career yourself. Just what differentiates teams right now? Because everyone's injured to some degree. Everyone's sore. How does a great team separate themselves from the rest of the pack this time of year?
I think for us, it's all preparation, right? Because it's a season. Everyone's seen everybody by this point. We know what each other are going to do. So it's how you prepare and then turn around and the changes that we make, right? And we've seen it. Like the possessions when we don't do what we've talked about in practice, we get absolutely exploited, be it offensive or defensive. So it's who can stick to a game plan because you got to find a way to take things away from teams. And that's kind of what we've been able to do because we are so outmatched at certain positions. So it's can we stick to a game plan, and then really the confidence piece, like getting everybody in their most confident selves this last month and a half is so important. And I think we're in the right direction. So I'm excited. I know they get excited. Trying to keep them kind of even keel, I guess for the time being, not too high, not too low, but keeping them all confident. And you're right, we're in such a great position at this point. So every single one of them is important, but the preparation piece for us is kind of what we talked about all year long, and getting them to take that seriously, which they have been, which has been good.
Cassie, your first 2 years here, I didn't realize this till this morning. We've lost one game in the month of February combined the last 2 years in your freshman and sophomore season campaign. And I think back to these great runs we've had, and just going into places like a Rogers, a Northeastern, a Newman, wherever, and just mowing these teams down and winning convincingly. Maybe that's something we as fans and onlookers take for granted. But in that same vein, having been part of teams that are so good this time of year, how does that help maybe some of the more veteran players on this team right now?
I think it definitely has. It's a confidence booster, obviously, because you've been in those positions. But I think we're also in different positions as well because wasn't playing significant minutes.
Sure.
And so it's still like a little nerve-wracking as where I am now. But you definitely see it and you watch it. And so I think it's a good position to be in.
Yeah, and I think January was long. I do think it's different, too, because you're looking at our team, and none of them have played significant minutes. I mean, maybe for the exception of Alyssa, but not near the role she's played. So this is brand new for every single one of them, be it Cassie, Jaden, Meredith, Kelsey, Alyssa. And then you take my 5 transfers, and they haven't played the roles they've been in. So I've got a whole team of players who have never played really significant minutes or been heavily relied on. So it's brand new for everybody. So I think we talk about it all the time, although they've been a part of great teams, being in the thick of it and like having a role in it, I think just feels different. So I'm excited for them because you get to watch kids like Cass and like reap the benefits of all the work she's put into this point, which is fun. Yeah,
that's excellent. And it was kind of fun. You got your 4th start of the year, and I think Tilly 5th or 6th start of the year on Saturday, and so that was fun to see. Well, the road swing starts this week. Rogers State Thursday, Central Oklahoma Saturday. Now, yes, Rogers, they're struggling a little bit in last place, 1 conference win, and then UCO, they're kind of tricky. Yeah, their record's not flashy, but they had Fort Hays State on the ropes at their place a couple weeks ago. They were leading at halftime, and this is a long road trip. It's 5 hours or so to get down there. And so from that aspect, Coach, just what's the preparation look like these next couple days?
These games make me more nervous than when we're going to play a Pitt or a Fort Hays because we're going to get those teams' best shot. And we're all vying for something, but vying for something very different, right? Like they may be vying for a spot in the conference tournament. It doesn't matter. So and Rogers they were only down, I think, 4 at one point in the 4th quarter against Fort Hays. So they're good teams, have big guards that we do not. So, again, it's going to be how can we use what our skill set to our advantage and kind of exploit them defensively, and it's going to be shooting the basketball, attacking their feet. But we're used to being on the road at this point. That's not new. We spent the whole preseason pre-conference on the road, so we kind of enjoy that, getting away. But they're 2 games where you're saying, they should win, but at this point of the year, you're going to get everyone's best shot. So that just is what it is. So we prepared just like we would, if not more, than some of those top teams you're talking about.
Could get a little trappy, right?
Exactly.
They like to pack them in. That Expo Center in Claremore, it gets loud, and UCO, I mean, they have great fan support, great facilities down there, and UCO for sure is in contention at least to sneak into that conference tournament at 4-8 in the league, so they're fighting to keep their season alive for sure, and Rogers, I'm sure, would love to start piling up some more conference wins. That's also a Rogers team. They got a new coach last year, so they're still relatively new into that coaching tenure. Well, ladies, we'll be down there with you. We'll be broadcasting, rooting you on. Thanks for coming up today.
Thank you.
There you go. Cassie, Caron, and Ashton Feldhaus joining us for the women's basketball portion of the program. Got to talk men's hoops before we adjourn today, so we'll take a quick timeout. We'll welcome up Will Martin to talk about a couple wins. They played Haskell Wednesday, Northwest Saturday, and just like the women, we're going to Rogers and Central Oklahoma this week. So more with Coach Martin when we return on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Boy, men's basketball in an exciting place to be. 15-7 overall, 6-5 in the league. 4th place in the MIAA standings as we embark on the month of February, but we recap the week that was a non-conference finale against the Haskell Indian Nations University Fighting Indians. It's Haskell from nearby Lawrence, Kansas coming into play, and the Griffins behind a school record tying 18 three-pointers. Dev Butler, Justin Bubak combining for 37 of those points, 96-59 the final score there. And Coach, you said you wanted to add that game into you broke this schedule up into 3-game series. You had Haskell in there to round out a 3-game series. You get a win, and I know you weren't entirely satisfied with how you guarded, particularly in the second half, but still on paper a good win. It was a fun game to watch. You're shooting it well. Just thoughts on Wednesday night?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. You know, we took a risk. It was well planned out, but at the beginning of the year, we just thought that, you know, playing that game would probably be better than a practice, especially coming off a tough road trip where you go to UCM and Washburn and Fort Hays and Kearney. Those are always really tough trips, and so I thought it was really good for our guys to be able to have that. We played multiple guys. You mentioned Devin. It was good to see him get hot. And then we also had film that we could watch and, you know, fix some holes in our defense before getting ready for Northwest.
Yeah, always a tough test, and whoever their coach is, whatever their record is, you know it's going to the ante kicks up a notch when you play the Bearcats, and that was a really competitive game throughout the first half, and but it was a 15-3 run inside the final 8 minutes that allowed Missouri Western to separate themselves and ultimately win it 71-58 for the first season series sweep against Northwest in 26 years. But as great as that win is, Coach, and, you know, I think your guys deserve a lot of credit, but I know we were all kind of holding our breath there at the end when Zane Nelson went down on a pretty scary fall with about a minute and a half to go. We can talk about Zane if you wish, but just starting again with the game and the effort itself. I mean, Northwest, you look at him and you go, that's not a team that's 4-17. You can tell they've got good pieces. You feel like Matt Keeley's a really good coach. They just have struggled to piece it together in year one of that tenure with a very new roster. But for your guys, just thoughts on that strong finish down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, one, you said it. I think that team is much better than their record shows. I think Coach Keeley's doing a really good job, and it's a rivalry game, so you know that you're going to get their best. You know, shout out to the women for getting their sweep as well. I think that when you look at it objectively, and you're having that type of success, first time that we've had a clean sweep since 96 or 98?
98, 99, yeah.
None of our players were even born. That's not just a credit to, you know, the coaching staff and the players on their side and our side, but it's the administration, it's our AD, it's our presidents, it's the Gold Coat members. I mean, when you're able to pull off something like that, it's a lot bigger than just one person. And so it's exciting to be a part of this culture right now. I think that, you know, across the board, our medical staff, our strength and conditioning staff, you know, we're doing some really exciting things. And so, you know, I thought our guys played really hard, especially in the second half. I think we made a couple adjustments at halftime, and we were able to come out and, you know, do some things defensively that opened up some opportunities for us offensively.
Yeah, the stat that kind of jumped out at me at the box score is Emery Knox, a terrific transfer guard of theirs. He's their lead scorer. I think he was 2 of 14 from the field. And, yeah, Luke Moustakis, he's been a veteran in that program. Hit a few big shots early, kind of shut him down. And then the Glock kid, I forget his first
name. Marcus Glock. Man, he's playing great.
Freshman of Wahoo. He hit 3 threes in the first half, none the second half. So the Griffins really guarding the yard pretty well down the stretch. As scary as it was to see Zane go down, it was super encouraging to see him get up and communicate there on the floor after being down for a while. And then I saw, you know, Ryan Menley, a handful of others did go to visit him and pose for a picture, so with the thumbs up. So that was certainly a good thing to see. Just what's the latest you can say, or what are you able to say as it pertains to Zane?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, God gives you perspective. We put so much into trying to get results. I think that, you know, the bigger thing is the impact that we're trying to have on lives. And when you see one of your own go down like that, it gives you perspective really quick. And, you know, credit to our medical team, and our training staff. You know, they responded really quickly. And so it looks like, you know, it's going to be scarier optically, hopefully, than, you know, what the outcome is. again, the medical team did a fantastic job. And so I'll have more updates on Zane later, but we're just really lucky and blessed to have such a great team to be able to respond so quickly that, he's doing much better today.
Yeah, it did me good to see so many familiar faces down there. Rachel Petty, I know Zach Fears was right down there, and then Dana Anderson, whose leadership at Mosaic in Maryville was there, and Kate Easley as well was down there amongst many others who were down there to respond to him quickly. And again, it was so good to see him, see you and others visit him, and just to see him respond positively again after such a scary moment. So we wish him the best for sure. And I think you and Coach Keeley kind of looked at each other and say, how do you finish a game after such a moment with $1:32 to go? And it was still a single-digit game at that point. But your guys really responded. 6-0 run, you hit those free throws. Bubak, the big dunk in the final minute. I think you said in postgame really speaks to the togetherness of this group.
Yeah, they love each other so much that I think that when initially it happened, you had some guys that might not have even wanted to finish the game because they were so concerned about Zane. What was great, and it shows the kid's character and his toughness. Zane stood up and he looked at me and he said, "Do I get to shoot the free throws?" And so I actually brought Zion over so that Zane could say that to Zion, so that Zion could, kind of get back into the flow of the game and realize, we gotta finish this off for Zane. Zane put his body on the line for the team, just like Zion did earlier at UCM when he fractured his nose. And so you talk about sacrifice all the time, and you try to implement that in your culture, but really that's internal. And we have a ton of guys that are sacrificing, not just from a physical standpoint, but mentally, psychologically. And it makes me really proud as a coach to kind of see the sacrifice. I think that's the highest form of love. Sacrifice is the highest form of love, and we have a lot of guys that are sacrificing for things that are bigger than themselves right now.
Absolutely, and I think I stressed this on my social media on Saturday night that, look, we go into February with 2 teams are in the top 4 in the standings, 7 games or better above 500, and 8 games to go, 5 of them on the road. So big things to play for, as we know, but Missouri Western men now winners of 4 of their last 5, and we got 3 of the 8 teams left that are ahead of us in the standings right now, so we got some big tests coming up. And
do we know that?
Because
it's all KPI now, right? So, like, we look at the standings, and it's like
I thought they only did KPI for volleyball. Are they doing that for basketball now, too?
It's all KPI. So it could be better. It could be worse. I think that with our strength of schedule coming from the north side, I know they don't want to call it divisions, but basically it's north-south, right? Mm-hmm. It's all going to come down to KPI. And so, the opportunity that we have is that I think that, playing a Rogers and a UCO on the road should help that KPI, especially if we can get 2 wins. And so, I try not to talk to our guys much about that because they have to be so focused, on having a great practice today. And, you mentioned it. We broke the entire season down into 3-game series to try to make sure that, we're keeping our focus and not losing sight of our mission. And so, this is game 2 of a 3-game series at Rogers, and then we'll finish the 3-game series at UCO. And we feel like if we can do our job and go 2-1 in every series, of course we want to go 3-0 in all of them, but we've talked a lot this year about the difference between wants and needs. And when you take care of what needs to be done, typically in life, the things that you want manifest. And so we're focused on the needs. Our needs right now obviously are having a great practice, but we need to go and at least split that road trip to be able to go 2-1 in this 3-game series.
Rogers stayed in a very similar spot as us when you just look at record and talent. They're 16-8, 7-5 in the league, and UCO 12-9, 6-6 in the league, and they're head coached by a Hall of Famer in Bob Hoffman. 2 tough places to play, and we know Justin Barkley's been there like almost 15 years, and you feel like they've been tantalizingly close to breaking through and getting an at-large bid, and here they are again. And I know you're focused Rogers first, so Rogers first, what stands out?
They're a little different this year in the sense that their offense is very high octane, and they've always been known to be a great defensive team. They hedge ball screens. They're very physical, especially at their place. But I feel like their offense this year is better than it's been since I've been in the league for the last 7 years. And so we're going to have to do a good job because, I told you our Achilles heel has been kind of our transition defense, which then has kind of caused us not to have great half-court defense, and we've been working on that. We have to play well defensively to get a win at the barn.
Yeah. Any knowledge of UCO at this point? You've probably seen them on film a handful of times.
Yeah, I was watching the game live last night. They played Emporia, and
right.
Emporia got a game. They're extremely athletic. Coach Hoffman does an unbelievable job. I think he's a Hall of Fame coach. And so we'll get ready for that on Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday and into Friday as we'll go from Claremore and then into Edmond for those games. 7:30 Thursday night, 3:30 Saturday afternoon. Coach, I got to ask you before you go. I mean, it's all over the televisions and everything else. Anthony Davis, who was with you at Kentucky, you helped prepare him as a trainer to be the #1 draft pick in 2012. I mean, that was late Saturday night after – I know we had a lot going on in our own camp on Saturday, but Anthony Davis traded to the Dallas Mavs, sending Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Now, Anthony Davis has had a terrific career, 10-time All-Star. He's going to be 32 in the month of March. No secret he's had some injuries. Just what was your reaction when you saw that?
Well, that day was crazy. So we have Northwest, which is, obviously a big rivalry game. I'm in the ER with Zane, and Coach Cal is going back to Rupp Arena at Arkansas to play Kentucky, and then I'm getting notifications about the trade. So it was a wild day. For me, Anthony's a great friend first. I worked for him in New Orleans. So for me, just looking at the trade, instead of like talking about did LA benefit, did the Mavs benefit, I think it's a great situation for AD. He gets to go in and play with Kyrie. They also have Clay. I think they're built to win right now. He has a really close relationship with Nico Harrison, who actually worked with Nike when I was working for AD in New Orleans. Fun story about Nico. He came. I was a young professional. I was 23 years old, working for the #1 overall draft pick, and there was a photo shoot and a commercial that we were doing. And Nico, he came down to New Orleans, and when he left, he sent me back like all these notes of things that I could do to be a better professional in terms of just like putting AD in better situations, being organized and punctual and stuff like that. So he's had a relationship with Nico for a long time, who's now the GM for the Mavericks. I think that's great. He has a great relationship with Jason Kidd, who was an assistant in LA. So I'm excited for AD. I think that he's in a a unique situation to be able to go chase another ring, which I think would be great for his resume, which is already a Hall of Fame resume. And so I'm excited for him. I think that it's going to be interesting seeing Luka in LA. Obviously, I think Fenwick's a LA fan, so you should probably get his hot takes on that. But Dallas will be better defensively. Yeah, they will be better defensively, and I think it's a great opportunity for Anthony. And I'm excited to hopefully see him win another ring. So he's got one. Let's see him get another one in Dallas.
Yeah, Mavs were in the finals last year, so that is exciting. It certainly set the sports world on fire. And are you surprised at how loud BBN booed Calipari on his return? Or?
Look, it's recency bias, right? Like I think that Coach Cal's going to be able to go back there in a few years and get the round of applause that he deserves. I mean, BBN is passionate about the blue and white, and they're going to stay loyal to their squad. But I think that history is going to remember him as there's been so many great coaches at Kentucky, so I don't want to speak in hyperbole or compare or contrast, but the history is going to consider him one of the greatest coaches in college basketball history, and what he did at Kentucky was phenomenal. He won a national championship, a few Final Fours, and so he'll get his round of applause. I'll say this. I can guarantee you Coach Cal wanted the win more than he wanted the applause.
Yeah,
and so he got that. So, don't put me on blast with BBN. You're putting me in a unique situation right here. It was interesting.
I actually wasn't planning to bring that up, and then I heard you mention it. And I was like,
it's my fault. I put that on a tee for you.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it's better. You learn better for next time. But no, I appreciate that insight. I know you and AD go back a long ways, and so it was a big day in basketball news. It's not March Madness yet, but we're getting down to it here in the month of February. And Missouri Western men's and women's basketball right in the thick of the madness right now, and looking to finish strong as we go to Rogers Thursday, UCO on Saturday. The Griffin Sports Network will be there to broadcast it live, and I'll be next to the bench on Saturday, so beware.
You're next to the bench?
At UCO I am, yeah.
But not at Rogers, the barn. Where are you at the barn?
Just like mid-court, center court, yeah. So,
Got you.
Yeah, we'll see you down there, Coach. Thank
bye.
you. There you go. Will Martin joining us here to round out the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast on a Monday. And, of course, we're all thinking about rooting for Zane Nelson after he took that really hard fall on Saturday. But great to see him get up and respond the way he did. Thanks to all of our coaches. Thanks to our student athletes. Our cameraman is Cole Weiberg. Our audio engineer, Rick Leahy. Thanks to our hosts, our patrons, Hi Ho Bar and Grill. We'll be back next Monday, February the 10th, the day after a Super Bowl. We'll either be talking about Fly Eagles Fly or a Chiefs three-peat. We'll see. Be sure to join us this Wednesday, 6:30 for the Football Signing Day Social. We'll have a live podcast with Coach Fenwick and members of the Missouri Western football staff. We'll see you down there at Geno's Wednesday night. We'll see you back here next Monday at noon. So long. Have a great week, everybody.